is the Maqamat. Maqamat, which we can translate in English as assemblies. The Maqama was something that was performed. Okay, it was performed publicly, most often, in fact, in masajid, in mosques. How do we know this? We know this because the Maqamat is one of the greatest examples of what we can call public literature. That is to say, literature that is really, it's performed publicly. Okay, it's performed in front of massive crowds. Ordinary people, lay people just attending the masjid, but also the Maqamat had this ceremonial function to it as well. What do we mean by ceremonial function? Well, there would be set annual readings of the Maqamat where rulers would be present, judges would be present, jurists would be present, Sufis would be present, and so on and so forth. I'll speak about examples of that shortly. So what I want to emphasize is, yes, the Maqama is a piece of literature, but this literature is not divorced from its public dimension. Okay, so we're not really talking about a bookish kind of work. There are many types of maqamat, many different authors who produce these. One of those, the earliest was somebody called Hamadani. But really, the one that goes viral, as it were, is the Maqamat of Al-Hariri. Al-Hariri, who is born in the 11th century and passes away in the towards the beginning of the 12th century. Now, what does he do in this Maqamat? In this Maqamat, he takes, we have 50 stories. And each story follows the adventures of, we could call him a trickster, we can call him a moralist, we can call him a preacher, somebody known as a character known as Abu Zayd. And each maqama is narrated by a narrator called Al-Harith ibn Hammam. Okay, so the Maqamat, what they do is they follow the adventures of Al-Harith ibn Hammam. Al-Harith ibn Hammam is an interesting figure in the Maqamat. He comes across as a spiritual seeker, right? He's seeking, almost you could, in some ways, he's seeking guidance, he's seeking spiritual knowledge, spiritual wisdom, wisdom that he can't find in ordinary settings, that he's not finding with other disciplines, and he travels from city to city. Every time he goes somewhere to a city, this character pops up called Abu Zayd, okay, this trickster, as it were. And each assembly has the narrator Al-Harith telling us about somebody who is preaching to an audience, okay? And this person is Abu Zayd, but he is dressed up in a disguise. He's wearing a disguise. And so Al-Harith doesn't actually know that it's Abu Zayd until the end of each story, as we shall see in a moment, okay? So this is a very, this does raise a very important question. Why did 50 stories about a man in disguise, why did this work of fiction go viral? Why was it studied in the madrasas all over the Islamic world? Why was it something that kings would come to listen to? Why was it something that the chief judges and the chief ulama of a city would gather for a qira'ah, a public reading of the maqamat? What does this text really represent? Okay. Now, to some eyes, it might simply represent, well, this is just, leisure, play, tricks. It's just a form of, what, what people, we have these what is it? These tragic comedies in Shakespeare, right? A kind of dark humor. So this is sometimes how the Maqamat has been read by scholars. But what I want to emphasize is the fact that the Maqamat, and here we have an example of this, what the Maqamat really represents, in my view, is it is doing a number of things at the same time. Number one, it is providing public moral teaching to a wide audience. Remember that Hariri's Maqamat is infused with Quranic verses, with hadith, with the sayings of the jurists, with the aqwal, with the sayings of the Sufis. Okay?